All right, episode 144. Every day we're getting closer to that recession. You just don't know when it's going to happen. And Mortgage Mike is here to talk about the Amber Heard Johnny Depp verdict. We're going to get started
Special correspondent
right now.
Oh, no.
any sense that it's a
the
T,
new-
but
Well, I mean, it is the only real estate podcast.
with the downward inflection.
The only real estate podcast worth listening to. And this is episode 144. Hey, we're going to be talking about how we're getting one step closer every single day to a recession, to a pullback in the economy. But before we break that down, we really want to thank our sponsors.
Yeah, we do.
We want to thank Theron,
The
Ron Smith, over at Armadillo Home Warranty. Look, you're needing a good home warranty. You just bought a house. Maybe a client of yours is an investor who's got some rental properties and is placing those rental properties with our property management company, homewarddfw.com. I'm messing you up there, Jesse. And you're going to recommend that that landlord should place home warranties on those properties.
I'm about to close on another rental property in
10 days. 10 days.
And
10 days.
Gonna call the Ron to make sure that it's tight,
Or do
secure.
you call him, or do you just go to armadillo.1/tour?
I kind of want the white glove service, so I make sure to call him personally.
Okay.
And I will definitely give the cell phone number at the end of this show to everyone listening. So
All
you just
right.
blow
Not
him
to
up.
mention, that guy knows his way around a Walmart.
I've
He
heard.
does. He does. He knows his way around Walmart. And then we've got Mortgage Mike over there behind him, just giving that Mortgage Mike stamp of approval. And he can close a loan in 10 days for Brian Force. I don't know if he'll do it for you, but he might be able to do it. So just take a look at it. Check him out. Go to mortgagemikeoftexas.com.
And don't forget Bang Energy.
Is it in the background?
Super in the background.
I just want to bang.
I always wondered, why do you have, there's so many ingredients in those things, but they still have 0 calories. I don't know how that's possible, but there's some laboratory somewhere.
I was looking at my Waterloo yesterday thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Like, how does this taste so good? And
Yeah.
there's no health
You're
content.
like, this isn't doing
Nothing in
anything
there.
to me, you're sure?
Yeah.
Apparently you don't need calories to get cancer, folks.
By the way, Jesse, is the last show, is 143 up on the podcast channel? Like
That's a great question.
Spotify and everything else?
Kenna was supposed to text you to upload it to the drive. I don't know if she did.
If not, we'll have that up. Yeah, if not, we'll have that uploaded. We were fortunate enough to be part of Justin Nelson's Sphere Rocket business event, and we did the podcast live from there.
Yeah.
And we had Wayne Salomons on there. We had Dustin Runyon on there. And what's he waving for? We doing Homeward DFW?
Again.com.
Yeah, we've already done that one.
Yeah,
I think we're trying to throw up the Sphere Rocket one.
Okay,
but
I
it's
got you.
higher up.
Yeah. HomeWardDFW.com for all your property management needs here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. But we were fortunate enough, we didn't have Kelderman there, but
Which made it go so much more smoothly.
Yeah, I mean,
don't
we were
know.
in and out in 30 minutes.
yeah.
last time we did a live event, Kelderman was like the old granny of the event, just like running around, being like, "I don't want to do it. Everything's
He was
gonna
trying
go
to
wrong."
end it so soon.
I was like, we shouldn't do it. Let's just drink.
I will tell you that doing those live, this was definitely, there was close to 300 people there.
Yeah, it was really fun.
I was a little nervous on it just to make sure that the value was there. Jesse did a great job because, the night before we're getting everything in order in terms of making sure that they have the camera set up, the microphone set up, the live stream set up. And then we get there and Jesse's like, hey, we got a problem. Yeah, none of that's really going to work. We're going to see if it's going to work, but it's probably not going to work.
Yeah, the guy who was doing the sound and video for the event was like, yeah, everything I said yesterday might not be true.
Yeah.
So good. I was
Jesse-
1,200 miles away for that.
Jesse came and told us, I was like, bro, I'll handle the White Claws. You handle the sound and video.
Yeah, and the audio was a little wonky, so go back and watch the video portion of this, and you can go do it on the Only Real Estate Podcast worth listening to Facebook page. But let's talk a little bit more about how we're one step closer to this recession, this economic pullback. We're starting to see more and more signs. Mortgage applications are down, so maybe Mortgage Mike can kind of touch light on that. And I think they're down not only because, last year they were saying, applications are down, but they were also comparing it to the refinance boom.
Sure.
So that was an inflated number in my opinion. So I do want to see if we can kind of break that down a little bit. And we are starting to see and starting to prepare for more homes that are coming on the market. Mm-hmm. They're starting to sit on the market a little while longer. I'm seeing people posting like, hey, it's been 2 weeks. Can you take a look at this and see how the pricing is on it? I don't know why we're not getting any offers.
Yeah. So we did actually, Jesse. While we're talking, I'm gonna make a point way later. Can you just pull up like Texas annual home sales, like historically or whatever? Because I want to talk about that a little later. I look at the trailing 7-day averages because I think it's like the best indication of like what's going on right now. And we talked about this at team meeting yesterday. We had just under 3,000 new listings come on the market in the North Texas MLS in the last 7 days, and 1,286 price decreases. So it's about a 44% ratio to new listings and price decreases. It's the highest I've seen it in years. That's the type of stuff that gets you thinking. There's logical explanations for why that happens too, and none of those logical explanations hide the fact that we're definitely heading into a contraction as well.
I think one of the things that typically happens is a lot of agents don't listen to this show.
Yeah,
so they don't know what's happening.
One of their biggest problems.
But when you talk about like the price reductions, that is to me like a very boots on the ground issue of real estate agents going in and still promising the moon because they're not fully feeling what's happening right now. And of course, sellers want to hear that because that's all they've been hearing. I heard a stat from somebody the other day. I won't even throw out the number, but there's an insane amount of people currently with their real estate applications in processing right now, right? Like, so there's even still people out there who are like, get into real estate. It's going to be the most amazing time of your life. They don't realize they're not getting licensed for 6 months and will probably be walking into a completely different market than they're hearing about for the past 18 months. I think that's the same thing as happening in living rooms. Agents who probably don't maybe do as many deals to feel the pulse of the market all the time, mixed with sellers who have unrealistic expectations based on what they've been hearing on websites and TV and from every agent who's calling them, trying to get them to list their house on top of it, is creating this situation where a whole bunch of people are listing and they're like, oh shit, like we missed the mark a ton. Do you remember when it used to be like, I never even used to talk about price adjustments until we were on like week 3 on the market.
My gosh.
Now it's like agents are on like 2 weekends and they're like, I don't even know what's happening. Like, I think the house is completely unsellable. You probably need to remodel the kitchen, right? It's like, get out of here, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think a little bit of it is just our mind has been, Brian uses this a lot with like negative things. Like your mind's been hardened to something. I think our mind has been hardened to this idea that if you don't have offers when you list on a Wednesday, if you're not fielding a ton of offers on Monday, that you somehow have failed as a real estate agent. Right. And so like take a step back from that and realize that maybe we're just moving into a space where things are leveling out a little bit and you might have to give your client updates for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Or you probably didn't set the proper expectations.
Almost
right?
assuredly.
You're like, hey, this house is great. You're definitely going to get multiple offers. Day one, just be prepared. You should probably move out this weekend and just go get a hotel room because it's going to be a madhouse.
I'm easily bringing you 30 G's over what we're asking anyway.
Yeah.
So stay at the Ritz. It's no big deal.
Solid rule. Stuff that comes across my desk every day.
Yeah.
But that's that's kind of the point that I was going to make is that people view real estate like they view the Dallas Cowboys. Things are never as good as you say they are, and they're never as bad as you say they are either. Like they're not going to win the Super Bowl, and don't give up on the team on week 1 because you're like the worst fan base in the world. Like I say that to say we absolutely are heading into a recession. And by the way, we're in a recession. The thing about recessions is, I'm going to take a show of hands here. Does anybody know how the Federal Reserve defines a recession?
Isn't it 2 consecutive pullbacks?
Yay. 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP. And so we've already had one.
What do I win, by the way?
High five. The problem with doing the KPI that way is by the time you get to the end of the second negative quarter, you've already lived that entire quarter. So you've been in a recession for 3 months. Like that's like saying, like we got to the end of the game and we lost. Well, yeah, you were fucking losing the whole time, right? Like it was inevitable, right? And so we're in a recession already. And there are things to keep in mind around that. You don't need to take every single stat as doom and gloom. The reason that people get all sideways about 44% of price reductions, new listings. Well, yeah, because that's a natural organic shift from let's just throw it on the market and see what happens. I'm a weak agent and I don't want to have fierce conversations, so I'll just do it at 50 grand above market value because I know it might sell. To okay, we're probably going to need to be more reasonable. Rates have gone up by 2 points in the last couple of months. People aren't going to pay $100,000 over asking price. They're going to pay a normal market value. And so that in that intermediary sort of time frame, you're going to have a lot of overpriced listings that need to come back to earth a little bit. It's not going to stay that way where prices continue to plummet to the ground. It's just that those weak agents, or those agents that had weak conversations with their sellers at the time, there's an adjustment that needs to happen. It's going to be a 4-week or 6-week period where we're going to see a lot of price reductions before we stop seeing so many listings come on the market that are egregiously overpriced from the jump.
I'm going to tell you that this no man's land between exiting this awesome market and whatever the next stop is on this train, it's not fun.
It hurts, dude.
Especially when you're taking, especially when you're working with homeowners whom, they're comparing or they have people in their ear and they're like, man, Sally down the street just sold.
Yeah.
And they got 1,000 offers. And they got everything they wanted. I mean, they got all the price, every single price out there. They got it. And then you start asking questions. You're like, well, let me ask you, when did Sally's house sell? Well, it sold a year and a half ago. Didn't just sell, by the way.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Every single time.
It
just sold.
It's so true.
And so you're not setting those proper expectations. And I'm trying to go through some of these trend articles of what's going on. And one of these trending headlines through Keeping Current Matters is if you want the best advice, hire a real estate agent.
Hire the best real estate agent, though. Don't just hire any one of them. That actually might be bad advice. We do this thing where we're hell bent on continuing to pump up realtors as an industry that we're just like, hire any one of them. Please just hire a real estate agent.
Actually, here it is.
We're so sorry. Please hire.
Yeah. It says work with a real estate professional if you want the best advice.
I might disagree with that.
I think I might do a video on this one. And just send it out. See how many clients I get.
And to be clear, don't hire any loan officer. There's only one.
Mortgage Michael,
Exactly,
Texas.
yeah.
If you want to get the best stamp of approval.
But I have the same issue with interest rates, right? Like expectations are a lagging feeling that they're eventually going to learn hard way or by somebody going in there and telling the truth to begin with. But interest rates, we know how much they've come up very quickly. So the whole 6 months ago, my buddy, my mom, my brother, whatever, I've been fighting that fight every day for the last 6 months. It's been tough. And, to y'all's point, it's having that honest conversation. You have weak salespeople and, I hate to say it that way, but sales is universal. The ones who are afraid, the ones who are hungry and need to eat because they don't have a pipeline full of deals, they're just going to say what's going to make somebody happy. I mean, that's what it is. And it is screwing up the mindset of our clients, through and through. I mean, it's an issue that we're battling every day.
So let me ask you on this with mortgage applications being down, is that 100%? Are we looking at the rates being down from are they being down because of dude, you messed me up on that one. Sorry.
It was perfect.
Yeah, that was great. Are these numbers skewed because we're still factoring in refinance applications from previous year, or is this now purchase to purchase applications being down?
Purchase to purchase, we're down 16% year over year. Now, somebody hearing that stat, if again you don't have your pulse on the market, you might say, well, shit, that's scary. We're slowing down. And sure, the amount of applications, of course, is slowing down. But even in this crazy last 6, 12, 18 months, I had more clients pre-qualified than I've ever had in my pipeline, and yet a small percentage were able to get under contract because of the lack of inventory. So what does 16% down mean? Or the app 16% lower, right? It just means that I'm taking a little less apps. However, the lagging indicator is down the road will likely have a little bit more inventory opening up. So the ones that actually are pre-qualified will have a higher percentage of getting a home under contract. So it's nothing to be scared of, but it is something to be aware of and understand truly what the real market conditions are.
Ooh, that's actually, I like that.
That's a really good point.
That should be, if you're listening to that, there needs to be some education on this, is saying, as a home buyer, with applications being down, and right now I'm seeing that, according to, it's on Realtor Magazine, that existing home sales and new home sales are falling, as well as pending home sales. In fact, pending home sales fell for the 6th consecutive month in April, and they are now at the slowest pace in nearly 10 years for pending home sales.
Sure.
So if you want to look at where the opportunity is as a buyer, if you waited, now is that time to say, all right, let's squeeze you in and let's go ahead and get this.
We've been saying this forever. People aren't going to pay higher interest rates and still go over asking price. If you want actionable advice, have this conversation however you want, but you need to reframe how you're talking to your clients and your prospects right now. Yes, mortgage applications are down 16% year over year. Would you agree? Well, salesman talk there. Would you agree that at least 16% of people that applied for a mortgage a year ago never bought a house because they couldn't compete? Then fucking what are we talking about?
Yeah, the number's
right?
way higher than that, right?
Yeah, I absolutely
Way
know
higher.
what it is, right? So yes, we're going into a correction. We're probably going to go into a recession. 4 out of the last 6 recessions, home prices went up. Home sales didn't even drop, right? If you feed into the doom and gloom, your business will suffer because your mindset will suffer. We're shifting. We're shifting to an area in the economy where we're going to have 5.5% interest rates, normal inventory, and you might get the house for a little less than they're asking. Whoa, welcome to 2014, right? Like we do this thing where anything, I've said this on the show before, we hate anything changing. No matter how crazy things get, even when the market's like 0 days on market, 50 offers, one of them threw in a Hummer, like, not the car. No, I'm just kidding, right? Like, they'll do
just gonna breeze right
anything that we can do to get the house. And we're like, we don't want anything to change. This is the dumbest thing in the world. Of course, I'm fine with 63 days on market, which is kind of the industry national norm. You can get the home at a reasonable price in regard to wages and things like that. And we're going to negotiate it a little bit. Otherwise, guys, why do we exist? If everybody wants your house and you can just figure it out, what do they need us for? Markets change. I hope they do. Because there's more opportunity. Opportunity never vanishes. It just manifests itself differently. But we just look at the statistics as if the world is falling apart. The world is just changing. The amount of opportunity is still there.
I can't wait for the day where I've got 3 clients pre-qualified and all of them get under contract. I can't wait for that. I don't care what the rest of the conditions are. I'm tired of having 30 pre-qualified and several get under contract.
100%.
That's a lot more work.
It's just so hard to gauge a healthy business right now, right? Like even I just had lunch with a real estate agent who does a ton of business, but also is completely overwhelmed because the sheer amount of work they're having to do to maintain that same level of business is now becoming a problem.
Yep.
Right. And I think that's what we're seeing on the real estate agent side. One, we're seeing agents who are doing the industry average who just aren't seeing enough deals to be able to keep their finger on the pulse of everything that's moving. And we are seeing other agents who typically have had pretty great reins on their business just feeling overwhelmed because the sheer volume of fucking work you have to do to make the exact same amount of transactions happen, or the exact same amount of conversations happen, or the exact same amount of relationships come to fruition, whatever your lead generation source is. Like, I don't even care. Yeah. If you're telling me you're still doing it at the same clip, I'm telling you your business is probably down this year.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think it's going to be that way for a while because things whipsaw, right? Like, the people that get hurt in these times of change are the agents that don't like lean into the change and adjust, right? Like I said before, the amount of opportunity is the same. If you're not able to, one, double down on your habits for sure, but 2, have different conversations with your prospects, you are going to get lost in the wash, right? If you're going into, let's just say, on the listing side right now, and you're still giving the impression that this stuff's going to happen overnight, no problem whatsoever, you might get fired a lot more. You're going to do a lot more work. You spend a lot more time on the phone dealing with upset sellers that you overpromise and underdeliver for. If you're on the buy side and you're still approaching things the same way, we had this situation the other day.
Just talked about it.
We had like a couple of offers on a listing, and we went to both of them, said, hey, we have multiple offers, give you like highest and best. One of them was $37,000 higher than the other because that agent clearly didn't realize that we were kind of changing things a little bit, you know? Like,
I had the exact opposite thing happen.
Yeah, that's true.
I had probably 30 showings and no offers after the weekend was over. Had an agent roll in on Tuesday, not ask me a single question, come in higher than we are asking for the house. Right? Like, and look, anybody who hears this in a like later or as a real estate agent who's like, why wouldn't you just tell? A, why would I? My fiduciary is 100% to my seller.
Yeah.
Look, we're all in enough groups to where you hear agents using the word greed and other stupid ass words that have nothing to do with them being fiduciaries. My point being is,
How's that? First of all, how's that greedy?
I don't think it's greedy. I think the thought process by some people would be, well, if you didn't have offers, then you know what I mean? Like,
Also, you're one question away, and that question is, if I come in at asking price, am I in the mix?
honestly, if you've been in this market for any amount of time and your first question is not to ask the other agent, do you currently have offers, and then gauge your response from there. Like, now again, this agent has been great to work with, right? There's nothing. I'm not poo-pooing on the agent. I'm saying there are probably a ton of conversations that people are not having that would benefit their buyers, and it's the exact opposite thing of you're going to overpromise to your sellers and underdeliver on your buyers. You're going to you're going to overcommit them to something they did not need to go that hard in the paint for things that could potentially either kill the deal or cost them money that was unnecessary, right? Like, all of those conversations matter right now, and all of that stuff is just coming from paying attention to what's happening on a day-to-day basis.
100%.
Do you know what I really like about this conversation is how you said you're not going to poo-poo on that agent. So you used the word poo-poo.
I did, and then I said fuck.
And then you said fuck.
That's fun.
I feel like that statement is like, it's one of those weird ones that doesn't really mean what it means, like, but everybody says it, like, I don't know.
Do you think?
I'm just lucky to be here.
Do you think?
And we are lucky to have you. We assure you.
If you're looking on the buy side as an agent right now, where your opportunity is, because this is the thing that in this weird way, when prices are continuing to skyrocket, we're like, everybody wants to buy, which is so dumb. Whenever prices come down, we're like, we have such trouble working with buyers, which seems so silly. You're like, hey, you want to buy this for less? You're like, no, that sounds too risky. Can't do that. How many of the people, if we just said like applications are down 16%, for the last 18 months, when you have a billion applications because everybody's trying to get into a house, how many of those people do you think didn't buy?
I mean, I don't know what the number is,
100%.
right?
It's got. I
Yeah,
mean, 'cause
100%.
you'll see, whether it closes or not, right? So it's got to be a ton.
It is a ton. I mean, we were probably converting 20% of our pre-quals at best.
So
right?
where's your opportunity right now, real estate agents? Right, your opportunity is in your database already. They just weren't able to buy before, and we're acting like the market is like in some turmoil. Like, no, go back to the people that couldn't compete and say, hey, you might be able to get it for a little less now, and you won't have to do all the jumping through hoops that you did before.
I'm about to Kelderman this market real quick.
Do it.
Right. This is what I hate about where we're going into this market, because we're gonna see more and more stupid shit like this. Oh gosh. Inflatable Dinosaur tours, new listing. San Diego real estate, this guy decided to do something a little different to draw attention to one of his recent listings. So he had a friend in an inflatable dinosaur suit walk through the home during a tour. Because, most prospective homebuyers, their searches begin online. So he wants to capture their interest first by offering a freaking inflatable dinosaur tour. This is what I hate where we're going, by the way. I'm Kelderman all over this. This is the Kelderman. This is where I like, you know what, Kelderman? We're going to hate on all this shit right now.
Time to poo-poo.
Yes, we're poo-pooing on this. It brings out the dumb. This is where we become the joke of the industries.
Yes.
We're like, what makes you stand apart? Why? I'm an inflatable dinosaur, and I'll go show you around. Like, there's nothing there.
What do you think is the goofiest thing that you've ever seen someone do to like market a house?
I mean,
Or just to market
The
their,
most off
market
the wall,
their
the
business.
most off the wall thing is the agent we knew who priced it like mad low.
Oh, I should.
well, I know.
rephrase,
I mean, actually, Nicole Espinoza,
That's
who was
the-
on
that's
the show,
just-
she
that's the
did
craziest
that,
thing I've ever seen
and
anybody do.
And it worked. Now
what'd she do?
So
She did it at $1, right?
She did $1 and ran it auction style and got a ton of interest because the first time it did not sell, and it was during a tough market.
Okay.
And she ran $1 auction. She got a ton of interest on it. Now the brokerage at the time kind of was pushing back on it because there was agents were complaining they don't understand the auction process. Sure. But she ended up selling it for a much higher price than the first go around.
Yeah.
But if you remember, there was a guy in California. Didn't he do something where he walked around the house naked or something, and then there was a complaint on that.
Yeah, there was something like that. There
Yeah.
was those two dudes that used to make funny videos. It was before TikTok was really a thing on Instagram, and I can't remember what we used to watch them. Oh man, I can't remember where they're from.
A lot of the parody stuff is really good. You know, like people do a lot of silly things to market stuff. But
Why do people do rap videos so much?
I don't know, man.
Josh
I think
Altman did one, the "I Sell the Dream" video. That was
I don't remember
obnoxious.
that.
I wouldn't be
He's
able to
a nice
like.
guy,
I wouldn't
but-
be able to write the actual lyrics to it and stay in the pocket good enough to make it sound as good as whatever they did. It'd have to be some cheesy, like
It is.
terrible rap video.
I
that,
think
like,
people underestimate how hard it is to write good hooks in a rap song.
dude, there's no way. Like, I can't. No.
But it's never good if you're rapping about real estate.
We
Okay,
should
to be
know.
clear, there is no
Exactly.
good lyric.
Yeah, there's
There's ways
three
to make-
things you could rap about, and we shouldn't be able to mention any of them on this show.
There's the
and if you're
Weird
not
Al
staying
bit
there,
though, where you can just still
Yeah.
parody it so hard that it's just like this is the corniest, silliest
you
shit
gotta go
I've
like
ever
way
seen.
overboard.
I think Stewman used to have a guy that you could go pay, and he would write a rap song for
He
you.
write it.
We
don't
should do that for the show,
doubt
and
that
we'll
at
just
all.
go do.
Dude, I would love to hear what all of us rapping like a few lines of a verse would sound like, even with studio quality stuff. It's just terrible.
Dude,
I'm
you
just
would've
gonna
seen me in
stick to
my
rapping in my
mid-20s.
car with the volume on 90.
You
I
are
can't even hear
fake.
myself.
Like you're the one thing that you don't do. I've seen you do one in your life is dance. Mine is you'll never get me to rap at all, bro. Unless it's the thong song.
The Ron said he'll out rap any of us. He'll drop the beat.
I do want to encapsulate this moment because you are dying to get me a big old fat mortgage Mike stamp of approval, and yet here you are criticizing the things we do to sell a home. So
That's true.
I need you to really tell us why I should do that.
It is funny because I do think I just saw this guy across the table from me jump out of a fucking trash can.
I'm hating. I did.
That was hysterical, man.
Look,
I'm hearing
Victoria
some
looked at me and she's
hypocrisy
like,
here.
"What is Nick selling?" I was like, "Houses." What's wrong with you?
I did
Selling the dream.
selling the dream.
I did see a guy get out of a pool and his buddy threw him the towel and he was advertising the
So
house.
these are the
Yes.
good bits.
Yeah,
When you
I
talk about the
kinda
good bits,
remember
I
that.
see Sirhan do this a lot, right? Fully suited, jumping into a pool type of thing, like little plays on little quippy stuff, right?
This
I think
guy's
that
completely
is.
naked.
I probably wouldn't do that,
Yeah.
right? Like I just don't think anybody needs that.
Look, I'm not selling. I'm not going and trying to like. My trash can one is designed to go after agents and to capture
100%,
attention on
yeah,
that. You know, for Mortgage Mike, you know, running around stamping approval, that's going and we do it old school style, like even you know, ambulance chaser attorney style. The reason why is we need to capture real estate agents' attentions, because what do a lot of agents typically complain about on loan officers? It's communication that they send over clients, they don't get approved for whatever reason, even though they actually don't look at the type of clientele they're probably sending over.
Right.
And loan officers, just like real estate agents, are a dime a dozen. So you need to stand out on that. I don't know when we're doing it to consumers, maybe that would work from a direct to consumer standpoint for Mortgage Mike. But if you're running around saying, "Hey, I'm an inflatable dinosaur and I'll take you on a house tour," where's the value in that part?
I don't think. Here's the thing: is it supposed to be catchy? Is it supposed to get eyeballs on stuff? I think from the marketing standpoint, that's probably the bit. Obviously, there is zero intrinsic value, and I probably would look at somebody like that and be like, I don't know. I would probably look at somebody like that and be like, if you're really doing what you're doing at a high level, why are you running around in dinosaur suits? Maybe you're just a quirky person and that's your bit. But you're also, I do think you're going to niche yourself, just like you would niche yourself if you were any specific type of way in your marketing, right? It doesn't have to be a negative niche. If you only market to teachers and veterans and police officers, that's going to be the majority of business you get. If you only market to condos and townhomes, that's going to be the majority of business you get, right? So like, I would just say when you're doing some of that silly stuff, also keep in mind there is and I say this as the dude who this is as dressed up as I get. There is business that is suited and booted gets you all the time.
Sure.
Right? Just be okay with that, and then it's fine. But don't expect everybody to be cool with it either.
Look, and maybe that guy knows the market really well and is amazing. You know, first, if I'm going off of first impressions,
Maybe mostly sells to dinosaurs.
maybe so.
Well, maybe it's a social media ploy, right? You
Is it
can-
on Step Brothers where it's like just what does he say? On, like he embraced your inner dinosaur. He
Something
he
like
always
that,
wanted to be a dinosaur or something like that.
At the Catalina wine mix.
Yeah. and his arms.
What would you guys do if you had unlimited marketing dollars? What's the craziest thing you would do to market like a big luxury property?
Oh, I do like all the other posers do. I go get a
Crash a
helicopter.
helicopter?
I go get a helicopter and a Bentley and a private jet, and I'd park them all next to each other.
Yeah, but
and then I'd
everybody
lean
does
on them.
that.
That's what I said. I do what all the other posers do.
No, I
No,
would
it's-
maybe shoot like a helicopter out of the air with a bazooka.
Yeah, like
Call
I
of
do.
Duty style.
Yeah, that's exactly
from the
what I
back
do.
of the in the backyard, sitting in a nice chair on the patio because it's relaxation, and then you have a helicopter coming over, and you're like, oh,
I would
you know,
pay.
Yeah,
I'd pay Johnny Knoxville to find a jackass thing to do in every room.
That would
That's
be
how we'd
great.
show off the
That
rooms.
actually wouldn't be bad, dude.
Like
Might be
Wee
niching
Man would be
yourself a little
fighting in
bit.
one room or something.
Well, dude, you
and
even saw Sirhan though. Like there's actually like real life testament to this. Sirhan tells a story buried somewhere in his social media where some people like he went over to a listing and they wanted him to do. He had like a video with his daughter where the bubbles in the bathtub just got insane, just like almost like a cartoon.
yeah,
like
like
he went
a
up to the
goofy
ceiling,
guy, yeah.
and they were just like the people were like, well, he's like, so what do I need to do for you all to win your listing? We're like, do the bubble video. They just wanted him to get like 5 million views on a video. Like this is for like a New York City, probably
Yeah.
$30 million.
Dude, can you imagine
property.
going to the next listing room and saying, this is how many views we got for this last
Yeah.
house
And that's
on
my point with the
Instagram?
dinosaur costume, right?
It is.
It's, you can draw people into at least start following you. You get on the map. You don't even have to do it again, but just
So is Mortgage Mike going to run around in a dollar bill suit with the big glasses and a big stamp, and he's just running around? And
I mean, I've run around with a lot less.
with
so.
following the Ron around, and he's dressed as an armadillo.
with a fanny pack on.
Yeah,
If you-
an armadillo
This has gone
fanny
too
pack.
far.
If you showed up at every closing for 10 seconds and all you did was somebody turned on their phone and filmed it and you just ran in and stamped the closing docs and then went boom and then left and
Dude,
you
it's-
put that on Instagram, you'd be
If you did
murdered.
that,
It's
like-
super similar to like our turn back the clock video bit
Yes.
we did a couple
Yeah.
years ago. You just run in the room,
Exactly.
you just start throwing flyers at people to change their clocks back
telling
and
them
just
to turn
run
their
out.
clocks back. So
Yeah.
good,
Run
dude.
out.
Look, in talking about all this though, we can joke around and everything else, but when the recession hits, and look, even the title of this was, is a joke. Look, every day we are one step closer to recession, just like every day we're one step closer to death. But marketing will help you survive the recession and pullback. You just have to have the right message. And you have to understand that when how do you help advise your clients, or what are you advising them through whatever marketing message that you're doing?
Yeah.
Is the buy with cash program, because I know people that are leaving brokerages right now and going to other brokerages that offer the buy with cash type built in and stuff like that. And I'm like, you kind of left a little too late.
Yeah.
That's not going to be as relevant as it was last 12 months, the last 24 months. And where we're going next is one that's unknown in terms of what's that next, maybe I'm going to use gimmick, but gimmick's not the right word. What's the next hook that's really going to help people understand that they should be buying a house right now?
Yep.
They should still be selling a house if they need to move, right? And there's going to be death, there's going to be disease, there's going to be divorce, right? And those people are going to be motivated sellers that if you go and work with more investors and you go build that program out, you will survive any marketplace, guaranteed.
And I also think this is the type of marketplace that if you found yourself over the past couple of years being frustrated by what you feel is it being undercut on value, whether it's by whole companies or individual agents in your market, right? Like this is a perfect time for you to bring that value back. If you think that the type of agent or brokerage that just strictly rests on the fact that the market is going to sell the house for them, they're going to be suffering in this market quicker than anybody else. It is going to take good real estate agents, knowledgeable real estate agents who understand what's going on week to week to sell houses in this. So if you've ever found yourself on online forums bitching about people undercutting you or your commission being reduced because agents are winning, this is a time for you to step up and take that territory back if you truly believe that's what's happening.
Do you think now is a good time to start working in some programs where you're like, it's not going to work right now, but you get that, you hone that message and that craft and how you present it? So let's say we used to run, I'll sell your house guaranteed or I will buy it. Do you think I'm buying houses today? No. Right? Because they're going to sell. So that message should be coming back in the marketplace because there's going to be more and more homes that are going to expire or cancel, and that message is going to hit harder with those type of clientele. And if you're going to wait to start perfecting this message, because look, everyone and their dog was running that back during the recession.
Yeah.
Everyone, except the ones that were skeptical and like, oh, that's a scam, whatever it was, right? But there's even when people talked shit about it, guess what? Homeowners didn't care because all they cared about was getting rid of either their property that became a nuisance or they had to sell, and they were looking for the most convenient way to do it. That's not changed.
Isn't it funny how as real estate agents we call everything else that we're not doing a scam, but we kind of do it ourselves. Like we're like, don't look at your estimate, that's not real. And then like you have your own home valuation page. Like, what do you think is the engine that's powering that on the back end? Yeah. It's the same
confused thing.
If you use listings to leads, it's a Zillow engine that's powering your home valuations. But that's you hit the nail on the head. Like, if you're afraid of the shifting market, just understand that the only thing that needs to change is your messaging, right? If we can just take a step back and look at objective reality, right? Why do people move? They move because it makes sense for them. Very few people, almost nobody, moves because it is an advantageous financial move for them at the time. They just don't. Like, excuse me. I tried not to cough, then I coughed into the microphone.
Thank you.
You look at take any data point you want. 48% of Americans don't even own a stock, right? Like, people don't make moves because it's financially prudent a lot of times. They move because they had a kid, or they got married, or they got a different job, or they had, like, whatever, right? That's true in any sort of part of the economic cycle. And so what I'm saying by that is, in the market that we are just kind of exiting, we had an inventory problem. That was the big headline news. We had an inventory problem. I guarantee you we won't have an inventory problem going forward. We'll have different rates, and we'll have a buying power problem. It's just you're just substituting one problem that you can solve for another problem that you can also solve, right? And so objectively, things are very good in the real estate market right now. We're kind of getting back to equilibrium. And so understand that first. If you're afraid of what is happening, all you need to do is change your messaging, your ability to have conversations. If you get washed out in this economic cycle, it's not going to be because the market dried up. You need to get better at having conversations. You can look at the worst case scenario right now. Jesse, pull up that tab real fast. This is the worst case scenario. Go to annual tab at the top. Annual tab, go to 2010. Lowest recorded home sales during scroll down on the chart. 2010, lowest recorded home sales during the entire recession. We went from a high of 304,000 per year in 2006 to a low of 211,640 through all of Texas. Look at the column in the middle. The population was 40,426,147 and 40 people. I don't know how they count those so accurately. It's amazing. Go to dollar volume. I'm sorry. Yeah. Can we go to, I don't want to do that right now, but if you look at population in Texas for 2010, you can see that as well. It's, 2010 Texas Rangers population. Thank you. It was 25,145,000. And in 2021, really quickly, 2021. And it is, 29,000. Okay, perfect. Yeah. So if we look at 2021, which is egregious, go all the way down, 415,191 home sales. If you look back at like 2015, 2016, that's the level that you're going to get back to in a contraction. You're going to get back to around 300 to 320 home sales a year, and we have an extra 5 million people in this particular area of the country that are going to absorb that. That was the second greatest economic failure of all time, and it was directly tied to the housing market. If we had a similar contraction that had nothing to do with the housing market, but only had to do with overbought securities that rocketed off of the bottom of the 2020 pandemic recession, and we're way overbought, there's no way that we get even close to the worst case scenario. And the worst case scenario was actually not that bad. In hindsight, it just took different conversations. And if you're worried about your business drying up, also understand you could be one of two people. You could be one of the people that thrives on opportunity, or you could be one of the competition that gets washed out. Fewer homes sell, fewer agents keep their licenses when they come up for renewal.
Complacency is going to be a huge issue right now, right? Everybody's so used to, again, as we talked about, list it, it's sold. List it, it's sold. Now you got to fight a little bit that's a mindset shift that we are having to deal with. Same thing on the mortgage side. When rates were at 3%, you had no rate shoppers. It was super easy to sell anything, right? Now rates are above 5.5, what have you. Everybody's rate shopping because they still are getting accustomed to hearing rates in the fives. The same thing. So complacency can be a huge issue. It's our industry's cyclical, and a lot of people are going to start leaving soon. I mean, it's just going to happen because they got so comfortable in this glorious 2-3 year stretch that we've had that they're not going to know how to adjust.
Well, one thing and we have a client that hopefully Mortgage Mike is working with, and we can get him over making an offer today, please. And if he gets his
Sorry,
stuff,
I'm on a podcast.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it right now. Let's do it live on the podcast. But one of the strategy, not even a strategy, something that I talked about with this potential client was, look, we could go and shop rates. There's always someone that's willing to do it for less and less and less and less. But I will tell you that the loan officers that I've seen that will do it typically always for less, their emergencies, their shit show becomes your shit show. And your clients start to stress out and they start hating the process. And guess who they blame on that? They don't blame the loan officer typically. They blame the real estate agent. And so one of the explanations, especially as this market starts moving on and we see rates staying in this 5.5, maybe 6% range, we'll see where the next inflation numbers come out to be. But one of the ways that I explained it, just like I explained Mortgage Mike yesterday to this client, I said, look, he's going to give you white glove service. His rate may be a tad bit higher, but not much more. But I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to hate your life. You're not going to hate buying this property because of something that's happening on the lending side. And he's like, no, that's what I want. He's like, I don't have time to add more stress to my life. It's pretty stressful already, and I'll go with Mortgage Mike.
That's a perfect example of a fierce conversation that I think a lot of agents just aren't comfortable having, and that are going to become more and more common. Is just letting people know, look, if everything goes perfectly fine, honestly, you don't need any of us. Right? If you can figure out a way to sell this house seamlessly where everything works perfectly and title comes back clean and the house is perfectly fine and everybody gets along, you can save yourself thousands of dollars by eliminating every single person. And since I can't tell you exactly where this thing's going to implode, you have to trust that you're going to need me and Mike and Heather and whoever the hell else is on this transaction, right? The transaction coordinators, all of that stuff to get this thing to closing, because exactly what you were talking about. I had a closing that was supposed to happen on a Wednesday. It didn't happen on a Friday, and everything just fell apart, right? Solely because the lender didn't understand what some of the requirements for the condo association were. But we didn't find that out until 48 hours before closing. Then we hung out for another week just waiting to see if they could finally put it together. But the buyer at the end of the day ended up having to walk away from earnest money, right? Because they were way beyond everything. So that buyer lost real thousands of dollars. Man. My sellers had already made moves, which maybe they should or maybe they shouldn't have. But as far as making a decision on what they were going to do next and some other life choices. And now we're back out there revisiting this whole thing, right? Trying to find buyers in a market where interest rates have changed by 2%. Because, by the way, we were under contract in like early March on that property. Yeah. So it was a whole freaking different world. Right? So, like, maybe that's not going to come home to roost because the majority of those deals have either fallen out or moved on to closing already, and most people have readjusted. But the reality is that lender had and it was not Mike. I was the listing agent. It was not me. It was some random lender. Yeah. But again, we even tried to save it. It was an unsavable situation from the standpoint of it's just a pain in the ass condo, honestly. Yeah. But the reality is that could have came up weeks earlier.
Let me ask you this, because this is something that Coach Bird always talks about. Solve big problems, earn big money. And where I notice when things happen, when the deal starts falling apart, usually it's 48 to 72 hours before closing.
You start feeling it too, don't you?
Yep, you feel it because guess who's
like everybody stop talking to
me
all of a
from
sudden.
Anybody.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
Usually the loan officer stops communicating, then the agent stops communicating, and then as a listing agent, you start reaching out to the buyer's agent and they're like, I just don't need, this is not my lender. I'm like, wait. So that makes it okay that you just stop communicating?
This is not my guy.
So our job again is to go back and help solve the problem. Because look, you end up walking away from this, or you let your client walk away, they've now lost, or that either they've lost their earnest money or they're going to get into an earnest money battle, which is not fun at all. Then it puts you, we put agents on a list that say, hey, especially if they're multiple offenders,
Yeah.
where they bring us contracts and then either it's a nightmare to negotiate with them. They usually will pull, I know there's agents that pull the same shit every single time.
Oh.
And they'll put it under contract for a high price and then always beat you up over repairs, over nonsense repairs, and want to lower it down to usually what's the original asking price that they came in at. It's weird how that typically happens. Or they just were like, that's not part of my job. And so now we have to go and help, contact either their client and get them over to Mortgage Mike if they're not with them already, and try to save the deal.
You're talking about solving the high-level problems. That's really what you start getting paid for after a while in this, right? It's really not. I've always pictured as that hot air balloon. And look, we can even use our job to make this whole freaking thing fit together. When you go into a neighborhood and you're putting out open house signs, right? If you don't know that neighborhood, you got to look at the map, see how the traffic flows into the neighborhood, figure out how I'm going to get you from Alma all the way into to the house you need to be at, right? It's the same thing when you're working the transaction for your agents, right? All we've done is print up a map and looked at the bird's eye view of it and said, okay, this road leads to that house. It's the same thing in real estate, right? Except the roads are problems in the transaction and the house is the closing of the transaction. Yeah. The better you get at this, the more of a bird's eye view that you have of all the different ways to get into the neighborhood, all the different ways to get the deal done, all the different ways the deals are going to fucking fall apart, right? Yeah. All of the pitfalls potentially, all the ways to protect your client. And all you're doing in your real estate career is adding hot air to that balloon that gets you higher and higher, where you still got a hawk's eye view. You can still see everything that's happening. And you can also see the 10 things that haven't happened yet. Right? So if you don't know what we're talking about when we talk about that feeling of you just know when a deal's starting to get sideways, if you don't know what that feels like yet, go do more deals, because there is an energy around some of this stuff that does start allowing you to go into living rooms and have more nimble conversations and really make more money for your clients, right? And that's the stuff that can keep you in the business through the type of shit we're talking about that's going to happen over the next 24 months.
Plus, when you're interviewing vendors, right? So, look, I'm going to tell you right now, when people ask us, because we were at the Justin Nelson event, they were like, let me on the podcast, or can I be your lender? And I'm like, wait, but you listen to the podcast, mortgagemikeoftexas.com, right? And we are highly selective of, one, who we do business with, and two, it's not just about, getting clients approved. I always use the analogy, and Kelderman knows this, like, you don't care who's flying the plane, right? Until something goes wrong with the plane. You're like, man, I hope that pilot's really experienced. I hope he's been through this before. And that's honestly, that's how we came up with the Mortgage Mike stamp of approval, is that, there was a something going wrong with one of our closings, and it was more on the client than on Mortgage Mike. And so I'm talking to DeBacker on this one, and that's where he's like, I would never given the Mortgage Mike stamp of approval off this if I would have had more information. And where I'm joking, that was funny, and it was a joke and all, and that was great. But the point of this story is that Mortgage Mike did not go ghost.
Right.
He was having those tough conversations. And I always tell people, is like, your vendors need to answer the phone when things are going bad.
Right.
Because usually what ends up happening is they answer every 100th call. So you have to call them 100 times to get one answer. And they usually just give you some vague response, the politician response. Like, it's in underwriting. We're definitely looking at, we've moved it all the way up to the chain. We even have the owner of the owner of the owner's company looking at this. In fact, we even pulled we saw this guy down the street. We pulled him in to look at it. And we should have this thing. It should be golden. No worries.
I thought those were working this entire time.
No worries. It will close. It will close. In fact, docs will be out by the end of the day. And then 3 days later, you're still waiting on it. And
they didn't say which day.
Oh, they said by end of. Oh, true.
End of day.
I see now.
I like that
by
little
end
loophole.
of day, just didn't say end of today.
Yes, correct.
I got you. Now you know.
You know.
Holy shit.
The bottom line is, if you're afraid of this market, then you have every reason to be. Because if you're already afraid, then you might be a little bit in trouble. There's opportunity everywhere. The worst case scenario is we go still above a level as far as home sales than we have been in the past. We're going to lose agents, that's for sure, as an industry. That's not a bad thing either. The reality, I've said this on the show before, I think we have a few too many real estate agents in America. We don't need all of the manpower. If we had like one particular problem where like people need homes, buying homes, and we're like, we need to dedicate 2 million people to this alone. That's probably a little bit excessive. So we will lose some people organically, and that's okay as well. All you need to be worried about is how to have better conversations to provide a higher level of value to people that are going to have a tough time handling those conversations in the beginning for just a little bit. I wanted to show off my tattoos today.
Conversely, my communication is higher than my hairline. Thank you.
Did we get a verdict yet?
What? That's what DeBacker's on the show for.
That's right.
Is it official?
Now reporting from
Is
the
it
courthouse
official?
and wherever the hell the
What did you say
trial
it
is at.
was?
They're not in California, right?
No,
I
there's
have
somewhere.
no idea.
Where
I
is the
tend to
trial
stay out of the
going on?
tabloids.
I'm just gonna Google verdict, and if it comes up as the first
Are
thing,
you
I'm
just
gonna
Googling
lose-
ver-
I'm gonna
Oh,
lose.
it
It's
did.
the first thing.
Holy
did.
shit.
Oh my gosh, he got $15 million.
I told you this. He got $15 million. This is the Johnny Depp Amber Heard.
Our
Which-
society's a disgrace.
Yeah.
$10 million in compensatory damages and $5 million in punitive. What's the difference between compensatory and punitive?
They're just different words.
What does the word punitive mean?
I think it's punishment, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Compensatory is more like
Compensation.
compensation. Punitive's like you did this wrong, so now you give me money.
Oh, like if we didn't even go to trial, you wouldn't even owe this $5 million, but we're punishing you for even doing this.
Brought our asses here.
But she won $2 million against him, so it's really a net. It's really a net 13. Yeah.
Was this $13 worth of entertainment for you guys?
If any of you sued your significant other today, could you win?
Ooh, for what?
Yeah. What am I suing them for?
Money for whatever damages. Who
I
would
already
win?
have experience in this situation.
I think that was a stalemate.
Yeah, it was.
That's funny.
I got Crystal's number.
Worked out okay.
You got Chris.
Jesse, do we have a question?
I think this was our question.
Oh, was
wasn't
it?
Who was?
And I'm not going to go way down the Johnny Depp
Come up with
Amber
a
Heard
question
thing.
though while we're doing this.
I'm not going to go way deep down this because I think some people do have mixed feelings around how. Because I don't think Johnny Depp was innocent in all this. I do think he was a coked out moron.
I don't know. It's,
Who was probably acting
Are
like
there
an
people
asshole?
that don't share that opinion?
Yeah, no, maybe, but I mean, I think it's very
No, I
easy to
think
be.
he said
I think it's
he
very,
is.
I think
I
it's
think
very
he agrees
easy to
with
be Team Johnny in this scenario because she is such a nightmare basket case of a human being.
Sure.
Right? Like like if you just ask me who I'd rather hang out with, she sucks. Right? Like he would be way more fun to hang out with.
Well, for sure.
But here's the thing here's what I do want to say about it. We can talk about how like this is detracted from other things that we need to focus on. And you guys did it. Right? Whoever you guys are, even by mentioning it negatively, you brought this upon yourself. Like just if you haven't figured out a couple of truths about life, positive and negative press is true.
Yes.
And nobody is asking you to pay a legal bill with iTunes gift cards. Okay? Like just know both of those things. Know both of those things forever. Okay? Like if you are talking about it at all, even if you hate the person, you are part of the problem. And secondly, cops don't ask you to pay for things with gift cards. So
What about my car warranty?
Right. The hate, even if you hate it, you're part of a problem is such a good example. Like this is just, listen, this actually goes back to the actionable real estate advice. If you're not spending every waking moment of your life that you're not doing something that is inherently fulfilling, like spending time with your family or like, improving your body or your soul, if you're not doing that, doubling down on your habits that'll improve your real estate business, you're missing a big opportunity here. But I can't read that.
Yeah,
out
we
loud.
can't read that.
No,
We cannot read that
I
out
say
loud.
that to say, how many times over the last 6 weeks have you had a conversation with somebody where this trial came up and they're like, "It's all so stupid," but but I'm like, but you know everything about it.
oh yeah.
Like-
Look, I've gotten sucked. My screen time has went up since this started. Not because I'm actually watching the trial
Yeah.
or having any actual like thoughts about it. I'm just watching like all the meme pages and the little clips of just like her methed out psychiatrist who came up there and couldn't figure out how
Oh
to,
yeah, it's wildly entertaining, and it's the same reason we can't turn off Squid Games or whatever. It's just entertainment. But if you like, we have this thing where we're not afraid to admit that we binge watch Ozark for 10 hours at a time. But if we get like roped into reels about this trial, we have to call it stupid. Otherwise, we're the dummy.
Otherwise, I'm the dumb one.
You're like, yeah, but you still know everything about it, bro. You're like, you see his doctor said this. He was all coked out. He was like, it's so dumb. Like, you seem to know a lot about dumb stuff.
What's wild is just how long I feel like this thing has been going on.
That is true.
Yeah,
Isn't
Like
this some
reels
shit?
continue to pop up on my
I
phone.
feel like this whole
I
thing
don't
could have been
understand.
solved in 30 minutes.
It just doesn't make sense.
You're like, y'all are both messed up. Y'all both got a lot of money. Why don't y'all figure this out?
Jesse's going down this weird Reddit thread that I think is actually hilarious because the comment after the question is actually me. So like the question is, you find a book and begin to read only to discover that it's your life.
Ooh.
You get to the point that you are at now. Do you turn the page knowing that you will not be able to change the events to come? I don't really know what the next thing is. It just kind of jumped out to me. I would do the same thing I do when I read every book. I would read like a couple of pages and then put that shit down because I would be so bored with it. Like I would, like if I read that book, I'd be like, yeah, I live this, like whatever. You know what I mean? Like I would still be just as lackadaisical about my desire to know what happens next as I would with all the other books that
All right,
currently
this is a
exist
good
in my
one.
life.
You're stuck on a desert island with a mermaid. Would you rather the mermaid be top half or bottom half fish?
Such
I gotta think.
top
There's
half.
just so many more questions.
There's a couple other questions I want to ask.
It's just top half. Tell me
There's
what
a
you're gonna do with the
couple
bottom
of-
half, and the top half looks like a fish.
There's a couple
Just
of
tell me what you're
other-
gonna do with the top. You can't. There's nothing to do
There's a
here.
couple of other animatonical questions.
Can
I
she
wanna
talk or not
understand.
talk if the top half is
Yeah,
the fish?
if she speaks English and she's top half fish, I'm gonna be really freaked out. I don't think I can do that. I don't think I like. I like they don't have the
Isn't
same
this a
facial
movie
expressions.
already that exists?
Little
Fish
Mermaid?
called Wanda. Doesn't that like?
Can you
exist
imagine
in
if a
movie?
fish was talking English and trying to give you like real facial expressions, but they just have these weird fish googly eyes
I
the
feel
whole
like one
time?
of these times we're gonna answer one of these questions. It's just gonna piss off the masses.
It really is.
Oh.
What is?
No,
okay.
no.
Why are all these so horrible?
Because we're on
dude?
fucking Reddit.
Yeah,
I like that one
We're
too.
It's just
probably
a
at the
cesspool
wrong.
of humanity.
Go down one more, and then jeez. Okay,
Hang on,
This
read
is
it
the
first.
trolley question. We've never done the trolley question on here, and I actually enjoy
Okay.
this one.
Okay.
All right. So the trolley question is very simple. If you were on a train and it was headed straight towards 5 people, and the lever to switch the tracks was right in front of you, would you pull it if it meant that it would divert and only kill one person,
Which is me.
which is you?
Well, yeah, because I'm the only other person, right?
No, it's going to kill one person
Well, why wouldn't you do it then?
Yeah.
because
That doesn't make
you're
sense.
responsible.
No, the track's right in
It's got to be Matt. What
This
Matt's
is
saying.
usually no, it's not. You can Google trolley
Why would
Just
you
Google
not? Why would you not kill
because
one person
you're
instead
not
of 5?
responsible for killing the 5.
But you saved 4.
The trolley question.
But
just
you
Google
are responsible for killing
Guys,
the 5 because you didn't choose to kill the
Just
one.
Google trolley question. It's the same question. It's not you that you're killing. How would you drop yourself on your own
If
head?
I'm not dying, I'm unconcerned.
Yeah, exactly. You divert to just kill
A
one.
thought experiment in ethics.
Then you pull the lever.
You could just sit down and
So
be
you,
like,
you pull the lever that's going to save these 5 people, but it's somewhere down the tracks to kill one person you don't see.
no.
No?
It's you're on a track. You come to a fork in the track.
Okay.
If you do nothing, meaning you have plausible deniability, you're not responsible for any deaths.
Okay.
But 5 people die.
Okay.
If you pull the lever, you are personally responsible for
Killing
one
that other
death,
person.
and one person dies. You're not even really responsible for saving those people so much as you are for killing one.
This is where I'll jump off the funny bit. I do think this is one of those things that a lot of people like chalk up, and I have been down enough Reddit threads or even talked to a couple people who've maybe not been in this situation, but have been in the unfortunate situation where a life has been taken. I just don't think you come back from that. And I think most people mentally, I think that whacks them out. Now, having to watch 5 people dying probably ain't something that feels super awesome either. So I'm not saying I have a choice in this, because I do agree with Kevin. Choice of inaction is still a choice.
It's a very basic answer, though. I agree with it.
It is.
And I think there's another layer to that because a choice, you have to weigh a choice of action against a choice of inaction. A choice of inaction is still a choice. Is it as grave as a choice of deliberate action?
I think the more visceral question is...
Because if that was true, then every single time anyone had an argument in public and like somebody hit a woman or something, 1,000 people would dive in and like, but usually a lot of people are like, I didn't fucking see
I think that
You see
question
what
is
I'm
too
saying?
basic because it leaves out the real reality of what you're asking a person is. Would you rather stand pat and watch 5 people die by doing nothing, or know that one person that you're not going to see a little bit further down the tracks is going to die because of your actions? And I think that's the part where people get fucked up, because I don't want somebody to die because of me, but I also don't want to watch 5 people die either, because both those sound like they're equally going to
Well, that's what
rock
it
my
is.
brain.
not responsible for 5 deaths you know are going to happen, or directly responsible for 1 death you know is going to happen?
Yeah, man.
I saved the 5 and go with the 1.
I'm going the 1.
I'm going to go with the 1 just because either way I'm going to feel like a fucking piece of crap.
Yeah,
and at
it's-
least
it's
that
a
way
lose,
4 other
lose.
people get to move along. I don't know.
Oh, I do like this one. This is a good movie.
That you push a button that gives you $1 million but kills a random guy.
This is a
That's a hard
movie.
one.
This is a movie called The Box with Cameron Diaz.
Yep. But it
Yes.
really goes down a weird path, doesn't it? I
Yeah,
kinda remember.
the riddle, not the riddle, the moral dilemma is better than the movie. But I've always found the trolley problem interesting, just because I don't really have an answer for
Yeah,
it.
I don't. I think I came to the conclusion I don't have one that I would like to choose either.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to take trains.
I'm just glad they don't use trolleys very much anymore.
Yeah.
Can we like decide who is there? Like,
No.
can
I have added layers to this, but they seem to make it even more complicated.
Yeah.
You're like,
What if that one person is your mom?
yeah,
I mean,
because here's
go
what
in the 1?
Here's what we. But this is what we tend to do. We tend to imply them unevenly, right? Like if
Yeah.
the one person was your mom, then the decision is made. What we tend to do is not define the other 5 people, and you have to keep it balanced, right? Like if one person is your mom, then there has to be 5 other people that combined are as of equal value to yourself or society as your own mother.
Yeah,
And
it's
we
easy
tend
when it's
not
my
to do that.
mom or 5
Yeah,
randos.
you're just trying to get out of it, right? Like it has to be still of equal value, right?
Tanner says the caveat with the button is the next person might press it too.
Yeah.
Which that random person now may be you that dies.
There's another person.
You're not the only one with the easy Office Depot button, bro.
Yeah.
I think the trolley
I'm playing
problem
those odds.
is
No, we're
is
talking about the
actually-
button from
Yeah,
the movie.
this
We're
is
talking
the
about
button,
McKitterick's.
bro.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, we're doing a different problem. Okay, yeah.
And the Ron, I don't know what you're talking about with the pool. I'll let you come online and talk about the pool and the masses.
I think the thing with the box problem is I just got to see your personal financial statement and see if your net worth is $1 million or not, and then I know if I'm,
It's a simple data.
trying to be a
driven
jerk
way.
about it. It's just there's math involved, and it's kind of.
All right.
Look at all these people sticking with us.
That's
to this.
right. Maybe we'll just do a
I tell you, we
hypothetical
should
only
just do
show.
more
It's
stuff
because I
like
shared
this.
it on my page. Y'all are welcome.
Exactly.
New blood.
I think so.
All right. MortgageMikeOfTexas.com for all your mortgage Texas needs if you want that Mortgage Mike stamp of approval.
Call him.
Look, HomewardDFW.com for all your property management needs as well.
Blowing up.
Make
And
sure
then-
you check out the Ron.
Yeah, the
over at
Ron.
Armadillo.1/tour.
Actually, I got a question for the Ron, if you're still listening. Would Armadillo,
if you saw 5 armadillos,
yeah,
They would all be dead on the side
would
of the road.
Armadillo issue a home warranty to a home that has that pool that you're talking about just now?
Oh.
Would Armadillo Home Warranty issue a home warranty to a home overrun by armadillos?
Nah.
How much wood would a woodchuck?
You know what
I mean, that's his family.
Yeah, you know how you can find that out? Go to armadillo.1/tour, TORE. That way you can find out if the Ron will give a home warranty that has a pool that's filled with stuff, and then maybe a house full of armadillos. I don't know.
Whatever.
Yeah.
go.
Kelderman?
Let's leave this thing now.
Thanks for watching the show today. Make sure if you're watching this on Facebook, you head over to our group, the only real estate group we're being a part of, so you can watch the extended conversation. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And if you listen on the Apple Podcast, leave us a review. We'd really like it. So just do it. Do it. Do that over there. Go to this one. And then go to that one. Thanks.